Our next speaker is Dilnaz Medora. She's a therapist, emotional healing coach, and NLP practitioner. And the topic that she's going to take us through is going to be mind and body connection. Over to you, Dilnaz.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Delnaz Medora. I'm a therapist and an emotional healing coach. I've done my master's in psychology, but mostly I practice holistic healing, which includes the mind, body, and the soul, and which are actually the three main aspects of any human existence. I practice many different modalities, NLP, neuro linguistic programming being one of it. I also practice hypnotherapy. I practice EFT, which is emotional freedom technique. I also practice Reiki, and I practice RTT, which is rapid transformational therapy. I use these energy modalities to bring awareness and assist people in healing through this work. I'm also a very passionate runner. I run marathons in India and across the world. And NLP has truly helped me in my personal, professional, as well as my running journey. So, I'm going to be talking and explaining today the science of the mind and body connection and how important it is to understand this in our day to day life. We're always talking about the mind, but somewhere we forget to take into consideration the body because it's the body that actually expresses, it's the body that carries the actions, and it's the body that behaves. So it's very important to understand the mind and body connection. And I chose mind and body connection topic today because I do realize that people do not know how our mind works. People do not understand how magnificent our mind is. And therefore, they don't understand the power it holds and how NLP, in many different ways, can help you to manage your own mind and therefore your body. Most people don't know the miraculous abilities that our mind and body have. So, my goal today is to just create some awareness about the psychobiology of our mind and body and how we can use NLP in our day to day lives. So, our mind and body are deeply connected. One cannot function without the other. The mind cannot work without a body. The body cannot work without a mind. So, they are one unit. I'm just going to share my screen now. Yeah. So I'll start with some basics, like what is the mind? Our mind is an energy field that surrounds us. And when we interact with people, we interact with their energy field. In the presence of some people, we can feel the positivity, or maybe not so positive vibe, because we're interacting with their energy field. We constantly exchange energies with everyone, not just by our personal presence, but also through our thoughts. When we think about somebody, whether positively or negatively, we are first creating it within us and then we are passing it on. So, how does the mind work and what does it really do? NLP teaches us that we learn through our senses and we learn from our environment. So, ever since our inception, which is the time we're in the womb, we are constantly absorbing and learning from our environment, including things that are said around us, things we see, we feel, we're absorbing from inception to 2 years of age. We are in the slowest brainwave state, which is the delta brainwave. The absorption is the highest at that time because we as adults go into that state only when we're in deep sleep. So imagine the amount of absorption that we are doing while we're in the womb up to 2 years of age, and children are doing that 24/7. Whereas as adults, we get into that state only when we're in deep sleep. Now, from 2 years of age till 7 years of age, we are still in a very slow brainwave state. That is the theta brainwave state. Again, we are constantly absorbing from the environment, even things that are not told to us directly or two people talking, we're still absorbing everything from the environment. And as adults, we get into the theta brainwave state only when we are in hypnosis or in a very deep meditative state. The logical mind, our logical mind does not develop till 8 years of age. It starts developing from 8 years of age and continues to develop till 13 years of age or 14 years of age. And as adults, we mostly function in alpha, beta, gamma, depending on the work we are doing. And as we grow, we learn to create thoughts based on the programming and information that we've stored over these early years of our life. Based on this learning, we create certain patterns. These patterns and information that is programmed in our head, our mind starts creating thoughts. Thoughts create feelings, and our body expresses those feelings. And that is how we function. In our full-grown adulthood, we are functioning on a completely autopilot mode, not really questioning why certain things are happening in our life, why certain things are not happening in our favor, why aren't we able to achieve the goals we have set, why aren't we able to do certain things. We don't question it. That is why awareness is key. And that is why NLP helps you actually question these things. That is what I love about NLP. It helps you question so many things. Like I said earlier, our mind is magnificent. So what is really so magnificent about our mind? Our mind is manifesting every single day. Anything between 70 to 100%. Our mind is manifesting our life every single day, just through our thoughts. And most of these thoughts are unconscious. So just imagine that if we become more conscious about the thoughts, if we are more aware about the kind of thoughts that we're thinking, we can actually create our best life and we can actually achieve whatever we want. Our mind is a manifesting machine, actually. And through a constant stream of thoughts, we can actually do whatever we want. But that needs practice and it needs discipline. You have to think the good thoughts. You have to think things you want. And that is what NLP teaches us to do. So, in the Tales of Arabian Nights, Aladdin finds a lamp. And there is a genie that comes out from that lamp. Now the genie gives Aladdin 3 wishes. Aladdin has to think carefully, think hard. What 3 wishes is he going to ask for? And once the wishes are fulfilled, the magic vanishes. Now, in the real world, given the lamp is our awareness, is our understanding, and the genie is in our cell function. We actually have unlimited supply of wishes. Whatever wishes we put into the lamp will manifest genetically through our raised vibrations. And if we fill our lamp with healing words, our genes will rush to fulfill all our wishes within seconds. And that is exactly how our mind works. And that is why our mind is so magnificent. And that is why in today's day and age, we do need tools like NLP to create focus, to create clarity in our life. NLP techniques help to identify break old patterns, and to recreate and rewire new patterns, which we can put into the lamp. We can actually create new habits. So be very careful about the thoughts you're thinking, because whatever you put in the lamp, you are going to attract. Fear will always attract fear. Worries will always attract more worries. Impatience will attract events that are going to make you feel more impatient. So it is very, very important to become aware of what you're feeling and what you're thinking. Very often in life, we do have conflicts between our heart and our logical mind. That is one conflict that every human being faces in their life. And that is where NLP is very important, to channelize your mind towards what we want and towards our goals very specifically. That is where you can use the chunking methods. That is where you can get clarity. However, logically, you know that you should not have said those words. You should not have behaved in a certain way. You should not have been angry in a certain situation. We still end up doing those things and we regret it later. And that happens because our feelings take the front seat, our logical mind takes a back seat. Now, why do our feelings take the front seat? There is psychobiology of the body and mind. The heart generates the body's most powerful electromagnetic field. This is important to understand, and that is why emotions always win over logic. And when you understand this, we can use the NLP techniques. The magnetic component of the heart is approximately 5,000 times stronger than the brain's magnetic field, and can be detected now with science advancing so much from the body with a very sensitive magnetometer. Now, a few decades ago, we had no clue why this is happening, why we lash out impulsively. We had no clue. Now there is science behind it, and we know what is happening in our body. And that is why feelings overpower logic. And that is when techniques of NLP help us become aware and help us have control over our logical mind. But to bring awareness, you need to practice. You need a certain discipline. You can change what you know, but first you need to know what you need to change. So, for example, do you know how many cells are in our body? Just take a wild guess, really wild guess. It's 50 trillion cells. It is approximately 1,000 times more than the people on this entire planet. What is 50 trillion? 1,000 times more than the people on this planet. So 1,000 times more than the people on this planet are cells in our body. And each cell has an intelligence of its own. So every thought that you are thinking is sending a signal to your brain. Your brain is releasing certain hormones and chemicals, and the activity of the cell function changes. Now, the most beautiful and amazing thing about our cell biology is that it can change in a fraction, mean absolutely instantly. For example, if I give you a bad news, you're going to feel bad and you're going to feel sad. And immediately, if I give you good news, you're going to get energized, you're going to feel happy. That's how the message goes. That's how fast the messages travel from your mind to your brain, from your brain to your body. And that's how the mind and body works. That is when NLP comes into the picture. NLP is a beautiful tool to create that balance. In fact, I'm going to share my own experience that I had with Suren when I first attended the NLP seminar. And Suren did a mental technique called the clown technique. Most practitioners would know what that is. So he made us visualize, and he took us to an event which was very upsetting, hurtful, angry. And he took us into a very negative state of mind. And he took us to a very negative emotional state also. And in less than 2 minutes, he shifted our thinking and he shifted us to a completely relaxed state. And believe me, in less than 2 minutes, we were all smiling. I mean, can you believe that literally? And that is how exactly our cell biology works. That is how exactly our mind works. And that is why our mind is so magnificent that we can flip it. And that is when I realized that I can do this in every situation. That is when I decided I'm going to become an NLP practitioner. And I realized I can use this in every situation. And every person can use this, and every person has the power. So technically, at the click of our finger, we can change our thoughts, feelings, emotions, everything at once. With some practice and some disciplines, we have to make sure that we start thinking good thoughts and the right thoughts every minute. Thoughts always come before feelings. Feelings are created by our thinking. You can't have an angry feeling unless you've created a thought that made you angry. You can't have a sad feeling unless you thought your way there. Similarly, everything in your life, insecurity, the mentality of lack, abundance, everything, you have to think your way there. Then you create a feeling within you. And it is very, very important for us to flip our thoughts, change our thoughts. And why is it important for us to flip our negative thoughts to positive? How does the negative thoughts affect our body? It is very important to understand that when you have negative thoughts, your body creates stress hormone, which is cortisol. And I think most people know that. But what does cortisol do? It disrupts your blood flow. It disrupts your decision-making capacity. It disrupts your emotional regulation, your planning, your problem-solving skill, because it is affecting your prefrontal cortex and it is affecting your amygdala. And that is why you're not able to think straight. All your aches, pains kick in at that time. The stiffness in the body happens because of stress hormone. You'll start having headaches, neck pain, back pain. All of that starts because of the stress hormone. And therefore, you start beginning to feel sad because of the stress hormone. And if stress continues for a little longer time, your body is deprived of all the good hormones. Like the prefrontal cortex is deprived of the good hormones like serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, the adrenaline and the endorphins. And that is when depression kicks in. That is when panic attacks happen. So please understand, less than 1% diseases are caused by the gene. 99% diseases come from stress hormone, and that's a very big number. And that is why we need to learn techniques of NLP to flip our thoughts, to question our thoughts. What happens when we have positive thoughts? When we have positive thoughts, our prefrontal cortex will enlarge. You'll feel good about yourself. Your problem-solving skills enhance. Your decision-making is better. Your planning, your organizing, your emotional regulation is better. You feel a sense of freedom. you feel joy, you feel happy. And that is why it is so important to shift, be aware of the negative thought, shift your negative thought, and convert it into a positive thought. For that, you need to question yourself. In every situation, we do have a choice to pick our thought. But while we were growing up as children, we did not have that ability to choose our thought. And nobody even taught us. Nowhere in school or college we were ever taught to choose the right thought. But now, as adults, we understand, we're aware, and we can choose our thoughts. As children, we were on autopilot mode. Whatever was programmed, whatever was ingrained in us from childhood, we would react with that information. Our perceptions were based on the input that was given to us as children. But now, as adults, with awareness, with techniques like NLP, we can change the way we think. And in most situations, when the mind is controlling our body, our actions, our behavior, it is so important that our mind stays more balanced. As Deepak Chopra says, I love his definition. He says, our thoughts are interpretations of our perception. And that is how we experience the world. Our thoughts are interpretations of our perceptions. And that is how we experience the world. So if we can change our thought, we can change the interpretation of the situation. Challenging your own negative thought is an extremely important skill that we need to learn today. That is why now NLP is even used as a therapeutic intervention. That is why it needs to be learned by everybody in our day-to-day life. I know sometimes people say that NLP is not therapy, but NLP can be used in therapy. And it is so useful for depression, anxiety, and a lot of other issues. And our mind and body have no limit to expand. Our minds and bodies are absolutely limitless. I think I'll stop share so I can see everybody. Yeah. So our mind and body have no limit to expand. The only limit is in our thinking. There is no limit on how much our mind can expand. The power of our mind. We can actually visualize our future self and also make it happen. Same thing with our body. Our bodies have so much capacity to expand. It is limitless. And we're not aware of what we can do with our mind and body. I'm going to give you some crazy real life examples that I know because I'm an athlete, and now NLP is used for athletes very widely. Visualization, chunking, all these techniques are used so widely. So just a few years ago, 2017, the scientists said that a human body cannot run a full marathon, which is 42.2 kilometers, in less than 2 hours. At that time, Nike, the sports company, took up the challenge. They did trial runs. They picked up a man called Eliud Kipchoge and trained him, spent lakhs of euros, and they did the first trial run. Of course, it was 2 hours and a few more seconds. They failed. But the beautiful thing is they did not give up. Another petrochemical company called INEOS sponsored the whole training. They improvised the entire training from the mind to the body. They improvised, and finally they broke that barrier and ran a full marathon of 42.2 kilometers in 1 hour, 59 minutes. It was a world record. So Eliud Kipchoge, he broke two barriers. One, when the trials were going on, he was 32 years old, and there was a younger guy who was 26 years old. Yet Eliud was better, and he was chosen. And so he broke that barrier, that age cannot stop you from achieving whatever you want to if your mind and body can be trained, can be worked on. That is why the mind and body are limitless. And second, of course, he challenged the scientists who said a human body is not capable of running a marathon in less than 2 hours. It's a huge thing. Then, very recently, in February 2025, another person broke a world record by running half a marathon, which is 21.1 kilometers, in 56 minutes. In 56 minutes, which is like really, really fast. So, what is really common amongst all these athletes who are breaking world records, some mind blowing stuff? They all work on their mind every day. They use NLP, they use visualization, they strengthen their mind and then strengthen their body. Without empowering your mind, you cannot achieve these things. This is where NLP comes into the picture. The amazing tools of NLP we can use to our benefit, empower our mind to completely eradicate limited beliefs, limitations that we can't do it, we can't achieve it. If then this man would have thought, I will not achieve it, could he have done it? No, he had to first eradicate the belief that I cannot do it, that my body cannot do it. So it's not that these athletes don't get negative thoughts. Of course they do. They're human beings, but they learn how to channelize their thinking. They learn how to eradicate these limiting beliefs and go above and beyond it. Why only athletes? Every businessman, every student, even homemakers, every human being can use the power of their mind and empower their mind and body and completely eradicate any limiting beliefs and improve their lives personally and professionally. So, for me personally, NLP, I'll share some insights about my journey with NLP. It has helped me make better decisions because it brought me clarity. When I started practicing NLP, it brought me clarity, it improved my decision making, and it helped me in my problem solving in a much better way. With all meta models, the chunking, all of that has helped me. And what I love about NLP is it helped me challenge my own thoughts. I started becoming more aware of my own thoughts. I started asking myself, are my thoughts really true? Can I think differently? Can I think more positively? And that is how I started changing my way of thinking. So there's a book called The Energy Prescription, in which the author says, an undisciplined mind leaks you of all the vital energy through a continuous stream of unorganized thoughts, through worries, skewed perceptions, and many of which will actually trigger disturbing emotions and degenerative chemical process in your body. This is how your mind affects your body, your thoughts affect your body. So use NLP, discipline your thoughts, discipline your mind, and you can actually change your life. I'm Delnaz Medora, your emotional healing coach and therapist. Thank you. I do have some resources that I can share as, one second here. These are the books that you could read, of course, starting with, one second. I have an updated version. Yeah. Do you read the first one, NLP Beginner's Guide with Suren? Can everyone read it?
The screen is not visible.
Yeah? Oh, sorry, one second. I'm going to share it, sorry. Now you can? Yeah. Yeah, that's Suren's book, which is the first one. And all these books will give you insight about whatever I said. And of course, Awaken the Giant Within You, Unleash the Power Within You. These are all NLP based books. And that's a little about me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dilnaz. I think the session actually it was so intriguing. All of us were very quietly listening to everything that you had to share. And that also helped us explore science behind mind and body connection and how we can leverage that for our thoughts, emotional well-being, and overall well-being. So thank you so much. And great, we see great round of appreciation. Okay. So Namish says, awesome presentation. Everybody else is saying, Princey says, fantastic session. So overall, great session, Dilnaz.
Thank you so much. I just hope it brings awareness. That's all I'm trying to do.